Hola, hola, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year
Happy
to
New
you,
Year!
Chris.
You
Did you,
too, Mariska.
thank
Happy New
you.
Year!
Thank you. Did you have good Christmas days and New Year's Eve? Was it fine?
Yeah, everything was really nice. Especially, I have to say, especially New Year's Eve. It has a special vibe for me. Yeah, we were having dinner and doing games with friends, and when they went away before 12 o'clock because they have pets and they wanted to be home for the cats. So, but then my son entered the room and he came. He was with friends before, and then he came to our house, and we were singing the whole time. In the Netherlands, you have we on the radio there is some top 2000, and there beautiful songs are played, and we were singing with the three of us very loud. We had a little bit too much to drink, all three of us, and it was so funny. It was so nice. We were singing out loud and wow, and yeah, it was great. And later, the a friend of of my son with his girlfriend, they came, and I went outside. It was so crazy. I went outside, and there was a lot of firework, but there was a group of young people, and I love young people. Anyway, and it was very not strange, but in a good way, because everyone was dressed up, and there you had devils, and you had all kind of crazy people. Anyway, and then everybody was hugging me, and it was it was a special vibe for me, and I was like, wow, yeah. And I was hugging all the other people. And I never met them, I've never met them before. So it was great, really great. And
Yeah,
you?
that sounds really cool, actually. Yeah, I had a great time too. It was also my birthday, so
Yeah,
for me, it
happy
was a
birthday.
combination. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and well, actually, before my birthday, I had it all like sort of planned out, but everything kept changing, kept changing, kept changing. So at one point, I was like, okay, we will see what happens at the night itself, because I will go with the flow, because everything I try to plan is not working out. So and it actually ended up really nice, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. Was a little bit drunk. Well, not a little bit. I was like very
Oh,
drunk.
yeah.
Yeah, because of my birthday, they kept giving me shots, and if it's all the same shots, then it's not even an issue. But it were all different kinds of
Yeah.
drinks, so vodka, tequila, and then with something else. And if I start mixing things, it's not good for me. So, but yeah, I ended up being a very special birthday. I had a very special Christmas, because someone came back in my life the, the Christmas day. So, Christmas
Oh,
day,
really?
my birthday. So, yeah, I had a very
Wow.
special period and festivities, and hanging out with friends, and just go with whatever happened. And it was, yeah, well, it was a lot of fun. And for me, my birthday, I didn't celebrate my birthday for like on the day itself for over, well, at least the last time I celebrated is I turned 30, so that's like 17 years ago.
Oh, I
So
thought I thought 2 years ago.
oh, no,
No,
17 years
so
ago, that's the last time that I really did something on the birthday itself, with people. I
it
always
was a
had,
joke.
yeah, and
It
there's
was a
always
joke.
like
So I say
family,
you
but
are 32.
yeah, so that was fun, and that was a big wish of mine, so that came true. So I'm very happy to
Oh,
have
wow.
really celebrated my life, actually.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
that was a good time. And well, I'm still, if I mute myself, then it's because I'm still coughing. It's the third week now, or almost the fourth week, I think, even. And I'm getting a little bit tired of it, but it's getting better. It's getting better. But apparently I forgot. I have asthmatic bronchitis, and I never have any issue with it. But now I got like a bacteria or an infection on it, so that's why it takes so long. So if I mute myself or start like, then it's me because it's coming from like here, like really deep, and it started with like a tickling feeling, I have to get rid of it because it's very annoying feeling. So, and another thing, people, if I just walk away, that's because I'm living in Mexico, and Viva la Mexico means that sometimes you have an appointment and then they say it's late, and that can be hours late. So I'm waiting for my groceries. They were supposed to be arriving like 3 hours ago, and they still didn't arrive. And it's a lot of groceries, by the way. So I'd probably be gone for like 10 minutes when they come. That's why I wanted to come, they to come early. I was like, well, then everything is all right. Next time I will do it after our talk because then I have the whole afternoon, and then, it doesn't matter. But so, yeah, but that's living in Mexico, and I'm starting to get more and more patient with it. So, yeah, and actually, I've been, I don't know how about you, but there has been a change in energy, like in a good way. Now, the whole roller coaster thing is more, it's the roller coasters are smaller, so to speak. And I'm finally in a place again that, I'm inspired, I'm writing, and I'm doing a lot of work. So, yeah, I'm very productive all of a sudden, and I like it because for a long time it was like, one day productive, and then like 2 weeks nothing happens. So I like to be active again, and put my brain to work in a good way. So how is that for you? Is the energy for you also more stable?
No. No.
It can happen.
There are still big issues going on, not only with me, but mostly with people I love and I know. So yeah,
Ah,
it's still a lot of things are going on and still moving.
yeah.
It's not all negative. Actually, it is rather positive, but there are a lot of things moving around, and then it's up and down and up and down, and then they go this way. So yeah, for me myself, um, yeah, I would say since a few days it's better, but I'm still feeling fragile. Yeah, I still feel fragile, and I still have the feeling that that there will be a lot of things going on this year. So it's going to be a very turbulent year, I think. I feel so. But I have good feeling for myself, of course, and especially for people who are aware. Yeah, then but we will. I think I have the feeling that we will experience a lot of things happening with other people this year.
Oh yeah, I believe so too. I believe so too. That energy is always, I feel it always in the background. Um, but yeah, what I feel mostly is that there's a lot happening in that way, like people standing up for themselves, people standing up for what they believe in, getting more and more in tune. Like, wait a minute, well, what's going on, and how do I feel about that? And of course, well, for me at least, I wasn't really brought up in a society where you are really invited to talk about those things or express those feelings. And what I see happening around me is that people are more and more like, I know I'm not supposed to say something because that's what we've been taught, but I'm gonna say it anyway in my way, and so for me that's a sign that people are getting more in tune.
Yeah, it's good. I just go on.
For me, it's a sign that people getting more in tune with what their body is telling them, and that some things are left or not left are supposed to be decided by yourself and not by an outside agent. And I actually saw a newspaper article stating that in the Netherlands, that we have way, way, way too many rules. And where that especially shows up for me, at least in the Netherlands, is that, when you drive on a road, you will see within like 500 meters, you will have seen maybe 5 to 10 different signs telling you what you're supposed to do. You have to drive a certain maximum kilometers an hour. You have to stop here, or you have to do this, you have to do that. You're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And it always amazed me how when I was traveling from the Netherlands by car to, for example, Belgium, that's our neighbor country in Holland, that all of a sudden all the signs, or not all the signs, but a lot of signs are not there. So, and what you will see is that people, uh, especially the Dutch people, of course, not the Belgian people, that they would be a little bit unsure about what they are supposed to do because there's no signs telling them what to do. And living here in Mexico, there's no signs at all. So, it's common sense. And that's what I like to see people, yeah, use more and more again. Use your own common sense to stay in touch with yourself, stay in tune with yourself, and just check in with yourself like, hey, is this something that's aligning with me, those rules? Or not. And of course, I understand that some rules are, if you break them, like, hey, you shouldn't kill, or you shouldn't steal, and all those kinds of rules. I think they need to be in place at this time. But there are so many other rules that that are actually preventing people thinking for themselves. And that's one of the biggest difference that I notice here in Mexico, is that here it's more, they leave it more up to the people. So, like, for example, I remember living in Holland when I was a child, and my best friend, her father had this big Volvo station wagon. And so in the back, you had the loading dock, or I don't know how you call it in English, but it was a big part of the car where you put your luggage and stuff like that. And we were like, I think I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, and we would go to a place somewhere, and then all the children would go in the back of the car, and we would sit on pillows, and we would have blankets, and we would have fun and play games and whatever. And then the rule came that it wasn't not allowed anymore. And the reason said, of course, oh, wait, I have to pick up the phone. Sorry. Hola. Hello.
Hey.
And I couldn't add you to the stream, so sorry, people, for the inconvenience. I think it's Mercury retrograde, so probably a little bit of intervening by our cute little Mercury.
Yeah.
Ah,
Ah,
and now I'm hot
bless
because
you.
outside I was in the sun and it's like 30 degrees outside, but inside it's cool. So that's why I'm sitting in my sweater. But yeah, being in the sun, walking up and down with like big gallons, like very big bottles of water, they are heavy. So, oh, and I'm not even knowing anymore what I was talking about. Oh, I was talking about rules, but yeah. So, phew, I have to catch my breath. Any experiences during like the last couple of weeks that you want to share with us, like energy wise, energy field wise, or other things that you came across that you're like, interesting.
Mm, yeah, I find the whole situation, what's going on, very interesting. And I notice a lot of synchronicity. This is very, I think that is very intriguing. But I I want to share something. I was very intrigued today by our peer meeting because one of our colleagues she mentioned Delphine. She mentioned that about the gates and the hanging gate. The hanging gate is the opposite of the gate, and what if you have a gate defined and the other one not, and about that she found out that people are longing for to have the other one mastered, and she was combining it and not combining, but she was uh, very intrigued by um, putting this into yeah, a connection with some health issues as well. And it was very intriguing for me. I was like, oh wow, that was nice. And she had a very nice example. I have we were talking about the gift of well and the well of wisdom,
Yeah,
inborn wisdom, and and the hanging gate from that one is 16th.
yeah.
And
The gift
I
of many, or the
the
gift of
gift of
many
many
talents,
many skills.
many skills. Yeah, and the channel or the talent is the gift of many talents. Yeah, or the talent of many
Yeah,
talents. Yeah,
the talent is the talent of talents.
yeah, many talents. Yeah,
Yeah. So my son has this talent, and but I was intrigued because I told Delphine like, oh, I am I think I'm all my life, especially at the moment, I am busy with mastering the 16th gift, and she was referring to the health issues. If you are longing for the hanging gate, so the 16th, she was telling about that there will be that you could have throat issues or with the sinus, and yeah, yeah. You can cough about it, yeah. and And I was telling her, I was saying, when I was, yeah, in 2003, I had cancer in my mouth. And I said, wow, this is intriguing. And it really, and I love philosophy, and I am a philosopher. I'm, I'm always thinking about a lot of things, and I was so intrigued, and I wanted to share you a little bit. Yeah, I wanted to share you guys with this information. I was really, really intrigued by that, and especially when, for me, it fell through because I had throat issues. How are you? Because you have also the 48, the gift of inborn wisdom, or uh, do you find yourself longing to the 16th gift, the gift of many skills?
Well, not necessarily consciously longing for it, but my whole life has been about learning new skills. So, and I believe that it has to do with that gate mostly. I know I also like improving and stuff like that, and you need, of course, to educate yourself to improve something. But or no, not of course, but it's combined with each other. But found myself, if I look back in my life, I'm like, I always call myself an autodidact, so that's someone
Yeah,
who teaches
me too.
herself everything. And looking at my chart, I couldn't really pinpoint where that was coming from, because I was like, no, that's not really in my talents or gifts, or but it is in the 16th gate. And that's why I definitely believe that, because there's the hanging gate and there is this energetically longing for something to make the gate, actually to find the opposite of the gifts that you have, and to connect with that. That has been a very big thing in my life. So, and I see it also with other gates, by the way. I
Yeah,
noticed
yeah, of
that
course.
the
Yeah,
most things that I became aware of that actually because we talked in the peer meetings, of course, about all the specific gifts. And a lot of times I would have been like, hey, I know that. I experience that. I feel that. I'm going through that. But it's not my gift. But it's usually the opposite of what I have as a gift. So, yeah, it's definitely a thing that is like something to pay attention to, I think. That it's more highlighted somehow. And I probably because it's defined, so you have like energetically a pull towards the other side of it. And also, what I noticed, because if you are um, how do you, when with certain planets, how they are in the sky, that happens too. That your opposite of your hanging gate will be highlighted, so defined for sometimes a short period, sometimes a longer period. And I noticed also that that is, for me at least, it shows up more with the hanging gates than with the, like, I have a completely open solar plexus, so there's no gates at all that are like highlighted or defined. So when I learn about the gifts that are from the or inside the solar plexus, there's not a lot of recognition somehow. And with all the hanging gates, there is, even with the planets. So yeah, there is something going on there, and I really don't know exactly what. I probably, well, it probably has to do with energy being, how would you say that? I would say it's like a magnet or of sorts, because you have one side of the magnet, and a magnet always tries to pull something towards it. So because you're defined on one side, that the opposite side will attract you somehow. And
yeah.
I'm
Monique had a very nice remark about that.
yeah.
She was saying, what she said was, if it's very yeah, it's very obvious, it's very normal that you long for it, because if you master the other side, if you master the hanging gate, you will create the talent. And having a talent for yourself is always, it releases the downside of of the gate, because the gate is not always positive for yourself. It's some gates are more positive for others than they are for yourself. But when you have a talent, then it's always good for you. So it
Yeah.
releases somehow it releases you. You yeah you it takes away the downside of the gate.
Oh, okay.
That was I found that very interesting.
That is
What you
interesting.
said. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't you think so? Yeah.
And I
And for
also
me,
know that
especially.
if you are in flow, you will also attract people with the other sides that
Mm-hmm.
are like your other sides of the gates that hangs. I notice that now because I'm with someone, and a lot of talents have occurred because of when we're together. And there's a lot of talents created because of he has the one side and I have the other side.
Oh,
So that's
great.
interesting too. So when you follow your mechanics, your body, and your signature, then you will attract that what you need to have that talent in your life, um, and learn from it mostly because we learn through the definition of the hanging gates. We learn a lot, or the definition of everything that's open, of course, but we learn a lot from that. And yeah, the one for me that particular talent is always intriguing. I had a conversation about it one time with Monique, and I definitely have to talk about it again with her. But um, because she says like, okay, you will attract those people more and more that will complete the channel when you're together, and which would mean like in actual living and doing that what I have like a vision and in a knowing and stuff, and I verbalize that, and then that person picks up that part and he goes to work with it, or she goes to work with it. And I haven't actually ever had that work with someone. And I have a couple of friends who have that other gate, like the 16th. And so I'm also intrigued by that. Like, okay, how does that work then? What is supposed to happen? Now, nothing is supposed to happen, but how would you say that? Because I don't see it really in real life happening. So I'm like, is it an abstract thing, or is it more a practical thing that happens? Do they really, maybe they just pick up my whatever I'm sharing, and they use it in their whole thing in a way to get somewhere, or do something without me really seeing the results or whatever. So, or is it a practical thing, so that, for example, I'm building a website, and there's certain parts in the website, and there's this part that I don't know anything about, or a little bit about, but not enough. And then all of a sudden, someone with 16 comes along, and I thought it would mean that they could, if it's their expertise, that they would take over in a sort of way and do that then for me. So, but like I said, in real life, that never happened. So I'm a little bit confused about how that actually works. But yeah, we will get to that probably with the peer meetings at some times when we are going to address the talents. But that's always an interesting uh, perspective for me, because as you know, I'm working on a workshop, and I was reading up on it, because Ra has written a lot about sexuality and your human design, and the personalities and stuff like that. And one of the biggest attractions is the other hanging gate. So that's one of the biggest attractions that will exist. And when you are together, and that's also something that I know Monique wants to research at some point, is that when you get together as partners, and it doesn't need to be partners, you can also have a work relationship with someone or whatever. But then you get the talent defined, and that means that you can find each other in that talent.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
still so much to explore. It's so interesting. Everything is so.
That's very interesting. Yeah. For example, I have my friend staying over now because she is having a rough time now. She's very tired and she's now here because I'm alone in the house. And but we have. I know that we have. We when we are together, we have the talent of transformation and the talent of success. So, and for me, when I was studying this, I studied it because I am very intrigued by that, and it was very for me. It resonated. I really got it, and I really for me it was like, yeah, I can relate to that because I know her for a long time already in my life, and we really did some stuff, transformation stuff together, and also very successful. So yeah, and when you are alone, I don't have that. I don't
No,
have that alone. So it is we really need each other,
yeah.
and but what I also uh, but it's I also I and I'm very curious about it. I don't know the answer of this, but I am kind of interested in it. If it only would concern your relationship, like we, for this example, we were successful in transformation and in success when it concerns both of us, or could we together also do have the talent with other people? I'm very intrigued by that. I would like to know that.
How do you mean that?
I mean that if you have a talent of transformation, uh, would you have when you are together? Would you have this talent only for both of you? Concern when it's concerning my friend and I. But would I, when we are together and we have this talent, would we be able to work? Yeah, to have work with this talent or to have this talent for other people, not the two of us, but other people as well. So I'm very intrigued by that. I would like to ask Monique about that, but I'm very curious about that too.
Well, I would say that it depends a little bit probably on how what kind of talent it is. Also, you know, how do you say that? I don't know if you know there's projected channels, there's individual channels, there's different kind of engage, but especially the channels, and I have a lot of projected channels, so I need to wait until there is like an opening for me to start something, to share something.
Can you name an example of those for the
Yeah, like
people?
the throat channel. I don't know what the talent is named actually out of my head, but this talent, if I just initiate constantly, nobody's hearing me, nobody's listening, nobody's hearing me. It's a projected channel, and that means that I need to be a sort of not. It's not really the way like a projector that you need to be invited, but I need to be really aware of my surroundings and in tune with my surroundings and feel if there's an invite to speak up, and not like, oh, I want to say something right now and I'm just saying it, because then the energies around me will be like, well, what the hell is she talking about? And they don't want to hear it, they don't want to know it, nothing. And there's a couple of channels I have in from my spleen to my root, I think one or two are also projected channels. And one of the things is actually really interesting, and it also has to do with doing workouts, for example, or like activities. And I always find it hard to, um, for you go sport to sport like a gym, and I would go 2 3 times, and then I would be like, okay, I'm done, and then I would move on. And also with walking, it doesn't matter what. And then I learned about that channel and or my talent, and well, and then it was a projected one, and I was like, that is interesting, because when someone asks me, oh, do you want to do this, or do you want to do that, I always say yes.
Oh, I can't hear you anymore. I think she is gone. Or maybe it's me, but today it's a very challenging talk. I'm sorry, guys. If you're watching, I'm going to ask Mariska if she has problems. Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah. Oh, God. But it is very intriguing, I think. I think it's very intriguing. Um, for me, it shows up that the human design is never, it's, it has so many layers, and you can use it for so many things.
My computer crashed
That
all of a
really,
sudden.
really inspires me. Hello.
Hello, my computer crashed and started rebooting, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I already told the people, if there are still people watching, because it is a very, very challenging talk today, because a lot of things are happening, and me going out and you going out, and you going out again, and oh God, maybe it's in the new energy flow of 2023.
I
Woo!
don't know, but it is interesting, to say the least.
I was just talking about how I find it the human design intriguing, because there are so many layers
Yeah,
and there's so much to discover.
yeah,
It's so nice.
yeah, exactly. It is very nice, and yeah, the more you get in depth, more interesting it gets. And I get that, there's a lot of people who won't do that because it's not their thing, and that's okay too, of course. But actually, what I wanted to get to was like,
Yeah,
about the projected channel and whatever, is that there's so many different, like you said, levels, like an onion to peel from, and it's by experimenting mostly to find out, hey, how does this work? Because, for example, I found out that it is a projected channel that I have, um, and then I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's why I need to be invited to go for a walk or to do this or to do that. Because when someone invites me, I will go when I get a yes. Well, but on my own, I somehow failed to do it. And I found also, you can also find that out, of course, by normally when you are trying to do something like that. Like, for example, you go to the gym and you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to do that like 3 4 times a week. And like me, you like 4 times, after the fourth time, you're like, I'm done, I don't want to do that anymore. So it makes sense to just experiment, like, okay, is it because uh, you're not really motivated, because that of course can also happen, that your mind is telling you you need to do this, and then it's hard to follow through because it's not your decision center that has said like, okay, this is good for you. But otherwise, try to experiment like, well, hey, maybe it works for me when a friend asks me, or maybe what could we come up with more, Chris? Being invited, maybe find another setting to do things like that. Because I think that, because we're all so different, and we are all usually really hard on ourselves, if we're not following through, then most of the time we are like really tough on ourselves, like, oh, you're a failure, why can't you do that, and what's wrong with you, why can't you go every day to the gym, blah 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 blah. And I think for people watching, you ask yourself the question, first of all, did you make the decision from your inner authority, your inner truth, that the decision that you made? And for me, it's like the instinct. uh, Someone says, okay, let's go to the gym, and I feel an immediate yes coming up, so then I know I'm in the right energy to follow through. But if I get a no and my mind is like, yeah, but you're gaining weight, and you're not healthy, or there's another, you can guess all the reasons that come up in your mind why you should go to the gym. One of the biggest ones, by the way, for me was that everybody was doing it. And so I was like, oh, if they can do it, then I have to do it too. And I am able to do it, but I never was, by the way. I was always the sprinter, literally, because I did like athletics, and I was literally sprinting.
Mm.
But would I try to walk like two whole rounds around the field? I would almost drop dead. Like my body would be like, no, not happening. And we are having so many stories about ourselves, why we should do sports, why we should do this, why we should do that. And I think it's good to start asking yourself questions like, okay, but why is it really what I long for? Is it really what I long for? That's always the first question. But also, okay, what is my body telling me about this decision? Is it my mind telling myself the story that I need to do it, or is it my body letting me know, yeah, that this is the right thing for me to do? And by the way, that brings me to another thing, that's the ego. And then I mean in human design, the ego center. When you are, um, mine is defined. So I have an enormous willpower, but it's also a motor for me. So it helps me get going for a little while, like a project or whatever, and then it's gone. And like I said, someone came back in my life again, and this time I finally know what his birth date is. So I got to do a purpose paper. Well, not a whole purpose paper, but I saw which talents and gifts and what type and whatever he is. And he has, for example, an undefined ego. And one of the things that keep happening is that when he's around me, he would, be right, like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and this is the plan and that's the plan. But as soon as he is out of my energy field, it all falls to shit. Nothing happens. And I was talking with Monique about that, and I was like, come on, he's like all words, because that's how it comes across to me. He's like all words, and he has all kinds of plans, but in the reality, nothing happens. And she says, yeah, but this, as soon as he's out of your energy field, his willpower is not defined anymore. So he doesn't have the will to do it anymore. So he cannot he cannot do anything about it. It's just who he is. And I was like, wow. I know that I learned that before about this center, because one of the things like Tony Robbins, the big inspirators, They get the people going, and everybody in the room is like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and this is my plan, and they are all excited, and then they come home, and there's only a few people who are really putting into practice what they learn. And a lot of people start practicing, and then the week after it's a little bit less, and the week after it's a little bit less, it's a little bit less. And that's because they're not around their willpower at that moment. And that for me is a very interesting thing because, like in my previous business, I had the same experience. When I was on a call with people, people would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna enroll, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and blah 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 blah." And when came to shove, and a week later I would talk to them, they would have done nothing, zero, and I would be like pissed off because I was like, you said you would do it, and then you don't. Why? I don't understand why. Because you were really enthusiastic, you were really happy, you were really like excited to do stuff, and then you didn't do it. And now I understand that, you know, getting pissed off doesn't help, first of all, because it won't inspire them to do it anyways. But second of all, they are not wired that way. They are just not wired to follow along and follow through with willpower, on willpower alone, because they don't have the willpower. So that was an interesting, for me, that's interesting because that's another nuance in how you relate with people. And yeah, don't take it seriously when they say they will do something, and when they don't take it serious and don't take it personal, because it's just who they are. And yeah, comes back to acceptance again. You're looking like,
Yeah, yeah, because I don't know, because I don't have my ego center divine, but I, I, I do find myself, I do, yeah, I think I have a lot of willpower, and because of my willpower, I'm still alive. So I'm, yeah, I'm not kind of doubting what you say, of course not, but I'm just very curious about how would it be, because I yeah, because
do
I
you
don't.
have do you have any gates defined in the willpower in the ego?
I have to see, because let me see. Sorry guys, but it's nice to know. Let me see if it's there, because I think maybe it should be more complicated than that. Uh, I'm just curious, huh? I'm not saying you're
Oh,
wrong. I'm just very curious.
well, this is
Uh,
what I found for through research from Raoul. So, and
yeah,
also
I
from
have
Monique.
two. I have the 21 and the 26.
Yeah, okay. So you have definition in gates. Maybe it has something to do with that you can tap into it sometimes. I don't know, but
Yeah,
or maybe there's other things in your chart that give you that, and you feel that it's willpower, but maybe it's a different kind of energy that you can tap
yeah.
into.
I have the talent of stubbornness. So,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But that's
ah,
different. That is a different kind of energy, because I have the same. So that's different than willpower. Um, I'm thinking if I can explain what the difference is or feels like for me. Um, because the talent of stubbornness for me is that I will push through no matter what. I will always go on. Like, um,
yeah, and your
uh,
energy goes on.
yeah, like no matter what, I will push through. But
Yeah,
that's different with willpower.
yeah,
It's And I think that that's willpower is used in a way in society, and I believe that it's not the correct way that it's used. I couldn't say right now how it is different, but I believe it's used in the wrong way and in the wrong explanation. Because willpower for me is going at it without energy. So because I don't have a motor, you have a motor, you have your sacral, it's filled up. So you always have a steady energy flow in your life. For me, I don't. For me, my motor is my willpower, and that means that I have energy bursts. And when I don't have the energy, I will keep going. And that's all probably also combined with the stubbornness because I will keep going. But the challenge with that is you will deplete yourself really, really badly, body wise. And but then it's pure will that keeps me going, like, okay, no, I want to accomplish that, or I want to get through that, and I will go through it. And one of the things that for me, actually, that was one of the reasons why human design made so much sense. It was especially the willpower, ego center, because one of the things that was stated by Raoul was that a lot of people with this define can have troubles with heart disease. And heart disease, heart infarctions, heart attacks, and also I don't know why, but also brain is it called brain infarctions? How do you
Yeah,
call it?
brain function. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly why the brain is involved because it's ego center is over here. So I don't know about that. But so when I read that, for me, and I just had my heart infarction 2 years before, and I was like, wow, wait, now it makes so much sense because on pure will, I would keep going, 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 even though my energy was not there. And so my whole body system, literally, I drained everything. I drained the minerals, I drained the vitamins, I drained my adrenals because of that. And everything was all of a sudden connected to each other. And I was like, wow, okay, so now I'm really experimenting with honoring that when the burst is there, I can enjoy it. I can literally enjoy the ride, and I can work like 12 to 16 hours a day, and I can go even out and sleep for only 4 hours, and then, it's fine. I feel great. And then all of a sudden, that battery is empty, it's gone. And what I would used to do was like keep continuing the same thing that I was doing because I could do it before, so why can I do it now? And now I know, like, okay, wait, no, my battery needs to be reloaded, recharged. So that's the difference with, and when you are stubborn, okay, I have the combination of stubbornness also, so it's like double go on, go on, go on. But I really believe that for you, you have your source of energy combined with definitely with stubbornness. It could feel like willpower, like
Yeah.
I'm pushing through. But I think
Yeah.
there's a distinction there.
Yeah, thank you for explaining because it makes a lot of things clear. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It feels like a big difference. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And does the willpower, yeah, is it connected with the heart, with we know with longing? Willpower for me when I think about willpower, is it connected with the heart longs for something that
yeah. It is. It is. It works most efficient when you do something with the energy that is bringing you joy and bringing you, and is in flow with whatever you're supposed to do.
mm,
If you use it, you can use it in a different way, of course, but then you will, when you do it not from longing, then it will deplete you even quicker.
mm,
You still have the energy, you still have access to the energy, but for me, if I, because that's, I can look back on a lot of years of doing that, and for a long time I did a lot of things from my mind, and I would be depleted so quickly. And now I have, like, when it was a project that really came from my heart, then I could work for like 4 months and not have any issues with energy or whatever, like feel great. So yeah, there's definitely a connection with longing. It needs
Yeah.
to be in your, uh, yeah, from your strategies actually. So if you follow your strategies, the things that will come on your path, uh, you will get the energy for, and you will get a lot of energy, and then you will know when it's done. You will know. It's like instant. It's not like a locomotive that is boom 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 boom, boom, and then it like suddenly dies like slowly down, like, oh, we need to slower slower slow. No, it's like full stop.
Yeah.
So today I can feel like this, and I can feel like that for 3 weeks, and then I wake up one day and it's like
Well,
nowhere to be found. Nowhere
yeah.
to be found.
Do you have? I'm very curious. Do you have the gift of serendipity or
No,
no? Okay, I was just
no,
wondering. Yeah.
no, I don't. So, and yeah, maybe we can talk about that next time, because
Mm-hmm.
what I found out, like, if you are like in a partnership with someone, if it's a romantic partnership or a business partnership or your best friend or whatever, I really starting to see how much benefit you could have to do a partner reading,
Mm-hmm.
because wow, that's
Yeah.
mine was mind blowing. Like the whole couple of last months all
Yeah.
made sense in like a fell swoop. I was like, oh my god, okay. So yeah, it and I since then, because I was sharing it with friends, so since then I looked into some charts of their partners, and almost immediately you can see a certain dynamic going on. Moment. And it, knowing how your relation with the other person is wired, it makes
Yeah.
life so much more,
Yeah.
well, easier, but
Yeah.
also you understand it better, because a lot of times we don't understand why things happen, and you're always thinking personal, like, oh, it's because I did this, or he feels or she feels that about me, or whatever. So we make it personal. And when you know the energy signature of someone with the talents and the wiring and everything that's going on, then it's not personal anymore. So then
Mm-hmm.
the whole part just falls away, and it creates this room and this expansion to just be with each other without any other, buzz around it, or your mind, for me at least, my mind was more at ease. And I really want to explore that more also next time with you, because yeah, I think that, because it's always, when you are with someone, it doesn't even need to be a relationship, if you're meeting someone,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's coming together, and those energy fields coming together, then things happen. And I really was like, yeah, if you have, you like, someone that you have an issue with also on your work, for example, with a colleague, maybe you have one colleague that is like irritating the hell out of you, and you don't know really why, or your mind will make up stories why, but knowing the energy signature, I will call it, the specific
Mm-hmm.
wiring of that person, it could fix like the whole issue. Knowing just like, oh wait, he's like that or she's like that, or so then you start to accept each other.
Yeah.
But let's explore that another time because
It's good. You run out of fuel. Your throat is run out of fuel.
yeah. Ooh,
Oh God, yeah. Oh, a
yeah,
lot
and
is
it's
going
time.
on.
I know people. It was a little rocky,
Yeah,
uh, a rocky session today. So we completely understand if you're not even listening to this anymore.
yeah. I understand. I understand completely. Yeah.
And I will ask Frida, please leave a message in the comments or in the description of this video that there's a lot of uh, silent pieces in this episode.
So you can just scroll on.
Exactly, exactly.
Scroll through the
Just
whole
move
thing. Yeah.
forward. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of Mariska at the one moment, only Mariska. Then Chris is gone, and a small moment, only Christina and Mariska is gone. So it was funny, yeah,
Yeah, it was interesting. It all has its reason. So
yeah. I am
okie
very
dokie.
curious, Mariska. Maybe we can talk about it the next time because we can do both. We can do both some research to get from our charts, and we can make ourselves like an example and talk about it in the next in the next talk.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like
And
that.
it would be very nice as well for us because then we will become even more stronger with the talks and it's nice. I'm very curious about it
Yeah, me too,
because
actually.
we have also some. I know that we have some things in common, like our purpose is not far from each other, and we have the same language of the purpose, like tension, and we have. I think we have also some gifts together. So I'm very curious, and I will very curious if we are combined, if there we
New
have
talent.
yeah, we have talents when we are together, so that would be nice to talk
Yeah,
about.
that's a good idea. So, how do you want to do that? Let's talk about it
Uh,
after.
yeah, we talk about it.
So, we will do that next time. And then the other time, we can maybe elaborate on other stuff. Thank you for watching if you're still watching. And we will be here next week if everything goes as planned. If not, then not. And I wish you all a very good day. And oh, I want to point out that we have starting this week, the peers are getting introduced on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and get to know us a little bit better. Good nice.
Oh, that's great.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye, everybody.